Okay, here we go. This is bad. This is bad. It is. It has begun, I would say now. It's always Boris Johnson, isn't it? Boris Johnson, Starmer, Macron. These are the three people you've always got to watch out for, because Boris is now advocating. I don't know if you've seen all these interviews. He seems to be everywhere at the moment. He's advocating now for the British Army, yes, British troops, to go over to Ukraine. But not just British troops, no, European troops as well. He wants British and European troops to go over to Ukraine to defend the border. And for some reason, even though he's being asked, don't you see this as an escalation? He says, no, I see it as a de-escalation, because if we put these troops on the border, the Ukrainian border, then it will show Russia not to cross the border and the troops not to cross the border, and that way it will be a de-escalation because they'll trigger Article 5 and all these other things. This is honestly the mind of Boris Johnson, the man who, by the way, stopped the peace negotiation in the first place. If you remember, he went in and broke up that peace meeting back, what was that, a couple of years ago now, and said that, you know, Ukraine, you can win this no matter what, and we'll give you as much support as you need. But here's a clip of it anyway, if you want to see just one snippet that he said.
I think we should certainly be putting troops in to backfill. Absolutely.
British troops?
Yeah. I think in the areas, I don't think we should be sending in combat troops to take on the Russians, but I think as part of the solution, as part of the end state, you're going to want to have multinational European peacekeeping forces monitoring the border, but also helping the Ukrainians. And I cannot see that such a European operation could possibly happen without the British. We've got to be there. That, you know, that's a long day's march from the UK sending troops to fight Russians, as I said. But that's got to be part of the package. I think when it comes to funding the whole thing, well, there is this $300 billion, the frozen Russian assets. Why on earth haven't we liberated those and started to use them for the protection of Ukraine? In the long run, Ukraine's actually a very rich country with enormous potential. They will be able to pay back the costs of their defense.
And this is interesting because it was only 3 days ago, I think, that I talked about this. I said that is the final thing that you will see. It will be troops on the ground, and I sort of said I think it's going to be British or French, or British and French. I don't think either one would do it on their own. But somehow I can't even believe that he thinks that putting British troops on the Ukrainian border to defend it would deter Russia. It's not going to deter Russia. They don't see things the same way as Boris Johnson and some of these other leaders see things. They are not going to stop crossing that border and doing what they're doing just because there's a handful of British or French soldiers there. I mean, we already know that they are in battles with the French Foreign Legion anyway. The Legion are over there, even though there's a lot of denial about that. Everyone knows they're there. Everyone knows a lot of European, American, Canadian, all sorts of other Western countries' security forces there. Not military, but private military contractors. Now, the other bit of news that's just come out is the Russian defense minister. He's just had a visit with North Korea. It wasn't even hidden. You know, it's not as if they hid this meeting. It was all out in the open. And he actually said, here's the statement, our ties with North Korea are expanding in all areas. So he arrived in North Korea on Friday for talks with North Korean military and political leaders. They rolled out the red carpet for him, and according to AP, which is the Associated Press, he wouldn't disclose why he was there for the meeting or what the meeting was about. North Korean state media also haven't mentioned what the meeting was about. So very secretive at the moment, but I think we can probably guess what it was about. Now, this is quite interesting for a couple of reasons. It was only a couple of days ago now that the Ukrainian delegation met with South Korea's president in Seoul. So what did they talk about? It was how to counteract the North Korean troops that they say are fighting now in Ukraine. And this is not de-escalating. We just had even more press conferences and things. We saw Putin was it yesterday? He talked about this massive aerial assault on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, involved over 90 missiles, 100 drones. It targeted 17 sites. A lot of them, I think, were energy infrastructure sites. And he said the attack was in retaliation for Ukraine using ATACMS missiles, US missiles, inside Russia. And he's also suggested that they may deploy the Orishnik hypersonic missile if Ukraine continues to use these long-range missiles. And even more worrying, he's threatened the use of all available weapon sources they have if Ukraine does receive nuclear weapons from the West, which unbelievably is on the table, as if that is not going to start WW3. Now, another story you might have heard a lot about in the last few days is this Baltic Sea cable that was damaged, and they finally tracked down this Chinese heavy-duty carrier, and they say that they deliberately dragged their anchor to, destroy this cable and all this other stuff. And it really just goes to show what is going on right now in different regions. All of these very small events that you might say, oh, well, so what? Just a cable, no big deal. No, it actually is a big deal, because you might see all these scattered events and think they are not relevant, but they actually are relevant. And when you put it all together, it shows whose side different people are on and how they are doing all these very underhand things at the moment. Now, yes, it could have been a pure coincidence, a pure accident, but I wouldn't bet on it. Another geopolitical thing that's happening at the moment is the Georgian Prime Minister has actually suspended the process for EU membership. So you might ask why? Why would he do that? Well, this is because the EU put sanctions onto Georgia over the elections. So what exactly happened? Well, the EU cut budgetary support to Georgia, stating that Russian interference to undermine pro-Western movements was highlighted as a destabilizing influence in the country. Now that's quite interesting. Let's just look at that again. They cut their budgetary support to Georgia because of Russian interference to undermine pro-Western movements. So what they're saying is the EU, in a nutshell, was not happy that the Russians were putting some sort of influence onto the election there, which wasn't in line with the EU. And then another unusual, quite a big event that took place just yesterday on November 28th was in Denmark. They suffered a massive nationwide outage. This disrupted cell phone service, emergency services. Basically, they were saying that it was very random and different areas, but nothing worked. And this included all of the digital signaling systems for the railways, for the roads. I mean, basically it was just, from what the reports say, it was absolute carnage. And this is what I mean when I say all of these small incidents that may seem inconsequential, but seem to be happening at similar times. What would I say that is? Potentially, they're calling it a glitch. Could it have been a cyber attack? I don't know. They'll probably come out and say it wasn't one, but who really knows? Probably only the engineers that work on it. So we had this happening in Denmark. the cable's being cut in Sweden. We're having all this new rhetoric taking place. We're having these militaries forming, these alliances forming, or they've been formed for a long time. But we're seeing a lot of disruptions now, and I think this is only going to get worse. I can't see this improving anytime soon, especially with Boris Johnson on the trail, just pushing and pushing for British troops to go on the ground there. And I think that one of the biggest risks that we could see is not necessarily British or French troops going to Ukraine, although that's obviously pretty much the final stage of this. But I think the biggest risk could be that Europe ends up fighting this war on their own, because Trump has made it very clear how he's going to deal with this. And I'm not convinced that he's going to be sending the firepower of the US military over to get involved in this. He could, I'm not saying he will, but he could just say, look, Europe, this is your problem. The EU have pushed when this could have ended a long time ago. Yeah, maybe it wouldn't have ended the right way for Ukraine, granted, but this is what he could say. I mean, I don't know what he's going to say. He hasn't made it clear yet what his plans are over this, apart from saying he would get a peace deal. But Zelensky has done this big U-turn. He seemed very excited by the peace deal. Now he doesn't seem excited by it at all. So what's going to happen? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't see what's going to happen, but it doesn't look positive either way. The worst case scenario is Europe ends up fighting a war against Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. But either way, none of these outcomes are positive. But I'll tell you what is positive as we stand overlooking the ocean here. What a beautiful day it is. I recorded a video for you a couple of weeks ago on the beach in Portugal, and well, enjoy it. Okay, this is it. I am super excited today. This is the biggest sale of the year, Black Friday. You've sent me comments this year. I have listened to your feedback, and I am bringing you something so crazy as an offer this year that I don't think you are going to believe it. So just like last year, I'm going to give you 90% off all courses. Yes, there's no catch to it. 90% off all courses. But I'm also bringing in something which many of you asked, and that is whether I would do a subscription model for a much lower price. So that is also available this year. All 6 courses will be included in that for such a low monthly cost. So if that excites you, you can go to the description or the pinned comment right away, and you can get the info link to get more information. But before then, I wanted to share something real quick, and that is that I think if you know me quite well by now, you'll know that I didn't grow up rich. I didn't grow up wealthy. I didn't grow up with all this knowledge on investing and finance and, you know, all these different asset classes and how to build businesses and all these things. I really had to learn it from the ground up. I left school at 16. I didn't really have many good qualifications, which is a sort of running joke. I didn't go to university. I didn't get a degree. I went to the army. You know, I had to learn everything I know right now myself through sheer hard work. And I really do believe that if I can do it, then you can do it too. And that's exactly why I've created these unique, one-of-a-kind programs, because this will give you freedom in your life, whether you want passive income, you want financial freedom, more time to travel and come on vacations or holidays, or stay at home parent, work from home. It doesn't really matter. Whatever it is you want to do, that is possible through your participation in these programs. And I get it. You're probably thinking, Neil, yes, I want to do them, but I've tried this before. I've done this program, I've done that, nothing worked. Yes, but these are my programs. If you've been following me for a long time, you know that I have got a lot of experience in building courses and programs that really work. That's why I've got over 300 testimonials, most of them video testimonials, from people from all walks of life, from all around the world. Even when I'm on the beach, people come up to me and tell me, Neil, your program, whichever one they took, really changed my life. And that's how I'm able to be here in November or December while it's really cold at home. But let me just answer a question real quick. What are the best courses to get started with? Well, if you do the subscription, you can just do them all at once. But I always say start with the Wealth of Psychology or the Psychology Money course first. It's the same program, by the way, because if you don't have your psychology and your mindset right, you're never going to hold any money that you get anyway. This was the biggest lesson that I got. It was a huge mistake where I just couldn't seem to keep my money. Next, after you've done that program, then I recommend the cash flow blueprint, because once you've got your mindset right, you're ready now for just copying my blueprint as to make, well, it's almost unlimited amounts of money. Anyone could drop in the chat if they like who's done that program, and they'll validate that. It is unlimited. You just got to know exactly what to do, and that's what the course and the program shows you. Because this is a completely different environment to any that we've ever experienced before. You've got artificial intelligence, you've got robotics, you've got geopolitical issues. All of these things are coming to a head. And AI is already taking so many 9-to-5 jobs. You've probably seen these reports as well. Most jobs are not going to be safe in the future, apart from specific jobs, as it were. And then after you've done those two, then I recommend the investing program, the stock market course, etc., macroeconomics, because you'll have lots of income then, and you will want to invest that, because when you invest it, you can then retire early. And then even if you're retired right now, just by investing better and doing getting dividends as well, you will be able to have a much more enjoyable life. So here's the promises just with these 3 courses then. Remember, there's 6 in the whole bundle. But with the first one, money psychology, you'll start thinking differently about money from day one, and that way you'll be able to accumulate more and actually hold more. With your cash flow blueprint, you will actually have a roadmap, a blueprint that you can just copy in order to make more money, and a lot of it will be digital, so it will be unlimited in scale. And with the stock market course, you'll learn how to buy your first significantly undervalued stock within that first week. So you can probably guess then you're going to get results right away from all of these courses. You don't need to watch hundreds of YouTube videos and try and put all this together for yourself. It would just take way too long. On top of this, it just takes away all the risks of the future with jobs and 9-to-5 income and everything else around it, because you'll have built your own income and savings. So just think about that now, how your life would be different if you actually had these things and you had these programs at your fingertips. So you really want to think about me as your partner or your mentor on this journey, where I'll always be in your pocket if you're going to watch me on your phone or something, and just keep you moving forward. Someone who's already gone through all of these trials and tribulations. And if you honestly just follow these steps and you follow the blueprints and you actually do the actions, success is guaranteed. So you've really got nothing to lose. There's a money back guarantee as well. It's not the normal 14 days that are offered by platforms. I've actually extended it to 30 days for you. So there's always the fair usage clause, of course. If you watch more than 50% of any course, I'm going to assume that you enjoyed the course, because these are big courses. So as long as you don't do that, I've got no issues with giving you a full refund if you don't think this is right for you. And if you're doing the subscription, you can just take your time with this because it's such a low monthly cost. And if you buy the whole bundle, then you've got lifetime access. So there's no rush on any of this. You can take your time to go through it. But the point is, this is a Black Friday through Cyber Monday sale. So you need to grab it now while it's available. There will be limited coupons every day. There's a time limit as well, in that it will expire. And as a really, really special bonus here, just to tip you over the edge if you're still not sure, I'm actually going to give anyone who buys the bundle of 3 or 6 courses or the subscription, I'm even going to throw in, yes, my monthly investment videos and my own personal investment spreadsheet. So you can see my plan, what I've invested in, what I'm investing in this year in 2025, 2026. You can see all of this for yourself. So if you've always wanted to do these programs, but you saw the price was $2,000 each and you just couldn't afford that, this is really your opportunity to get these programs then. So it's really simple. Just go below the video now in the pinned comment or in the description. You'll see an information link. Just click that or any of those links that you know are most appropriate to you. Have a look, see what you think. Watch some of the testimonials as well. See what other people have said. And if you think this is right, give it a go. All right, thanks so much for watching. Take care. God bless.